person occupying your thoughts has begun to recognize what you truly mean to their existence. Pause here for just a moment. If a specific individual keeps surfacing in your awareness, returning unbidden despite your attempts to focus elsewhere, what you're experiencing carries profound significance. This isn't random mental noise, not a trick of psychology, not wishful projection. The individual dominating your consciousness is awakening to a startling truth. Your presence shaped their world far more profoundly than pride permitted them to acknowledge. This awakening doesn't announce itself with fanfare. No flood of texts appears. No tearful declarations materialize. No rushed apologies arrive at your doorstep. Instead, recognition dawns quietly during solitary hours when external stimulation fades, when responsibilities pause and distractions lose their power to numb. Today, you'll discover the mechanics behind this delayed epiphany. What's unfolding within their emotional landscape? And why does the invisible thread connecting you both refuse to dissolve? Section 1. The mystery of persistent mental presence. Certain individuals vanish from memory while others become permanent residents of our inner world. Countless people cross our paths. Innumerable exchanges occur. Relationships ignite and extinguish constantly. Yet only rare souls establish unshakable residence in our consciousness, long after communication ceases. Your recurring presence in their awareness isn't habitual reflex. It's not born from idle boredom or simple isolation. You persist because you created an indelible emotional signature. You generated authentic feeling. Not superficial thrill, not fleeting chemistry, but genuine safety, profound comprehension, authentic witness. Perhaps they lacked vocabulary for it then. Perhaps they failed to treasure it appropriately, but the psyche retains what the soul recognized, even when ego attempted suppression. You weren't merely another chapter. You transformed their self-perception. That caliber of influence never truly fades. Section 2. The denial stage and manufactured distance. Before clarity comes resistance, almost universally. Initially, they built elaborate justifications for not needing you. They constructed narratives claiming wellness without your involvement. They believed separation would simplify everything. Temporarily, the illusion held. Busyness became armor, noise became sanctuary. They filled voids with substitute people, rigid schedules, endless obligations. Surface indicators suggested success. Here's the uncomfortable reality. Escape proved impossible. You transcended personhood. You became an emotional state. And emotional states don't evaporate through avoidance tactics. The harder they fought to exile you from thought, the more conspicuous your absence grew. Not instantly, but gradually. Like noticing silence after prolonged music. Like recognizing emptiness after familiar warmth departs. Section 3. When awareness crystallizes, realization arrives during vulnerability, never during celebration. It surfaces in quietude, late nighttime hours, dawn's first light, stillness when mental shields weaken. They detect something troubling. Existence feels unfinished, not shattered, not desperate, simply incomplete. Your identity resurfaces then, not dramatically storming back, but emerging softly, inevitably. They recall your particular cadence, your attentive listening style, how you grasped meaning without lengthy explanation. They recognize that tranquility possessed different texture when you remained close. This marks the pivot point. Can you see why this timing matters? Section 4. The weight of belated understanding. When someone grasps your significance too late, remorse doesn't shout. It settles. It creates chest pressure, throat constriction. Thoughts emerge. Different handling was possible. I failed to guard what mattered. I didn't grasp how extraordinary that bond was. Mental replays begin. Moments revisited, exchanges re-examined, decisions questioned, silences scrutinized, not from masochistic impulse, but because consciousness seeks pattern recognition, searching for the deviation point. Every pathway leads to identical conclusion. They diminished your value. Section 5. The blindness of comfort. Why does recognition arrive late? People rarely appreciate treasures until access disappears. Not from malice, but because familiarity breeds invisibility. Your presence normalized. Your understanding became anticipated. Your patience transformed into entitlement. Whatever gets assumed receives minimal real-time gratitude. They never imagined your emotional withdrawal. They never envisioned permanent distance. They never predicted this deafening silence. Now comprehension dawns, and comprehension stings. Section 6. The unconscious comparison game. Here's what remains unspoken. They measure everyone against your template, not deliberately, not consciously, but instinctively. They observe conversation shallowness. They detect forced laughter. They sense incomplete understanding. Others provide attention. Others offer physical attraction. Others supply companionship. What you provided was genuine resonance, and resonance defies easy replacement. This awareness amplifies their loss recognition. Section 7. The paralysis of fear. If they've finally understood your worth, why no contact? Because understanding doesn't automatically manufacture bravery. Fear intervenes. Rejection, terror, worry about disrupting your peace, anxiety about timing, dread of confronting their failures. They don't know your current version. They don't know if space remains for them in your redesigned life. So they hesitate, and hesitation breeds suffering. Section 8. The persistence of energetic bonds. Even without direct communication, energetic signatures endure. They detect it when environmental triggers invoke you. They sense it when your name appears unexpectedly. They feel it when emotions surface without logical explanation. You didn't vanish. You transitioned from physical presence to mental imprint, and mental imprints can wield extraordinary power, sometimes exceeding present reality's influence. Section 9. Understanding your position. This revelation isn't about suspended animation. It's not about desperate hoping, and definitely not about pursuing someone's tardy recognition. This concerns your inherent worth. You mattered before their awakening. You held significance even during their blindness. Their belated enlightenment doesn't establish your value. It merely validates what already existed. Section 10. If return occurs. Should they eventually contact you, casualness won't characterize the approach. It will arrive thoughtfully, tentatively, deliberately, because they now comprehend stakes. They understand silence carries danger. They grasp that distance can calcify permanently. They recognize connections of this caliber exist rarely, and if inaction continues, this awareness will still haunt them, because consciousness cannot be reversed. Section 11. Why resonance feels profound. You're not manufacturing this sensation. You detect it because emotional connections operate bidirectionally. When someone finally comprehends your significance, energetic frequency shifts. You perceive it as serenity, lucidity, completion, or readiness. Not desperate attachment, crystalline understanding. Section 12. Release without diminishment. Releasing attachment doesn't invalidate connection meaning. It demonstrates sufficient self-respect to refuse waiting for delayed validation. If they return, it signals their growth. If they don't, the lesson belonged to them exclusively, not you. Regardless, you remain complete. Section 13. The lasting truth. That person inhabiting your thoughts is finally grasping reality. You weren't just someone encountered. You were someone providing safety, someone offering comprehension, someone mattering deeply. Whether action follows this realization or not, certainty exists. You created an erasure-proof mark. That's not deficit, that's legacy. And legacy endures permanently. Welcome to Psychology Wisdom. If psychological mysteries intrigue you, subscribe and activate notifications so breakthrough insights never escape your awareness. If this resonated, show support by hitting that like button for Psychology Wisdom.